When you picture an African elephant, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For me, it's just sheer unstoppable power. I mean, we're talking about the largest land animal on Earth, a 6-ton giant that can push over trees like they're nothing. They just seem, well, invincible.
So that brings up a pretty wild question, right? What in the world could possibly scare a creature that massive? What could make a 6-ton titan turn and run for its life? The answer? Well, it's so unexpected you might not even believe it at first. Get this, the one thing that absolutely terrifies an African elephant is the tiny African honeybee. No joke, it's the ultimate David and Goliath story. You have this bee that weighs less than a gram, but the sound of an angry swarm, that's enough to send an entire herd of elephants stampeding away. Now, you might be thinking this is just a cool piece of nature trivia, but actually, this very specific kind of bizarre fear, it turns out it's the key to solving a really serious problem: the growing war between humans and elephants over land. See, all across Africa, as human communities get bigger, they're naturally pushing into territory that has belonged to elephants for, well, forever. So in places like Tingatinga in Tanzania, people and elephants are literally neighbors, and they're forced to compete for the same resources. And that creates this constant, really dangerous tension. And you can totally see why. If you're a farmer, an elephant isn't some majestic creature. It's a 6-ton wrecking ball that can wipe out your entire year's worth of crops in a single night. So it's no wonder that many farmers see them as destroyers and even murderers, as a direct threat to their survival. And let's be really clear here, this is about more than just lost crops. This conflict can and does turn deadly. Farmers who are just desperate to protect their families and their livelihoods sometimes resort to violence. And that just kicks off this tragic, vicious cycle of retaliation, which in turn fuels the illegal ivory trade and puts the future of the entire species at risk. For decades, people have been desperately trying to find a way to break this cycle. They've tried to build all sorts of shields, ways to protect the farms. But honestly, the history of these attempts is pretty much just a long, long list of failures. In fact, a huge review of these methods found that most of them they just don't work in the long run. They tried hanging up fences laced with chili, but, the chili just washes off in the rain. They tried making loud noises with drums and firecrackers. Turns out elephants are smart, they just get used to it. Tripwire alarms? They only worked about 40% of the time. Digging massive trenches is crazy expensive, and the elephants can just collapse them. Even really drastic measures like moving elephants or culling them haven't solved the core problem. But then, a researcher named Lucy King had this amazing breakthrough. Instead of trying to come up with some high-tech, expensive fix, she looked to nature itself. And what she discovered was this beautifully simple, elegant idea, born directly from the elephant's biggest fear. She called it the beehive fence. And yep, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a fence made of beehives. You hang them about 8 meters apart, and then you link them all together with a wire. It's a totally low-tech, biological barrier that's designed to work with nature, not fight against it. And the way it works is just so simple, it's genius. Okay, so an elephant comes along, tries to get past the fence, and it nudges that wire. That little nudge sends a vibration down the line and shakes the hives. Instantly, you've got agitated bees swarming out to see what's going on. And here is the truly brilliant part. The elephants don't even have to get stung. Just the sound of that angry buzzing is more than enough to send them running in the other direction. I mean, look at this. The design is so incredibly simple. You've got your posts, a wire running between them, and the beehives hanging there so they can swing around. The second an elephant even touches that wire, it triggers this completely natural and super effective alarm system. But here's where this story gets really amazing. This fence does so much more than just stop elephants. It completely transforms the relationship between the farmers and the wildlife. It turns that conflict into coexistence. This isn't just a barrier, it's a real win-win innovation. When you actually compare the different methods, it's like night and day. The old barriers are expensive, they take a ton of work to maintain, and they really only do one thing. The beehive fence, though, it's a low cost and pretty easy to maintain. But the real game changer is that it has a dual purpose. It protects the farm, and it creates a brand new source of income. And that changes everything. This is what that change actually looks like. Instead of seeing elephants as just a source of conflict, a conflict that sadly fuels the illegal ivory trade, Communities like the Maasai and Tingatinga now see the fence, and by extension the elephants, as a source of valuable, elephant-friendly honey. It's this incredible economic shift from a really destructive trade to a sustainable one.
Just think about the amazing ripple effect here. So, number one, farmers can finally protect their crops and their livelihoods. Number two, they get a new, sustainable way to make money by selling honey. The project even uses modern hives that make beekeeping way easier, and it taps into the Maasai's own cultural history with bees. So what's the result? Fewer elephant deaths, way less incentive for poaching, and a real, genuine path toward peace.
You know, a story like this really shows us that sometimes the most elegant and powerful solutions are already out there, hidden in nature, just waiting for us to find them. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other natural secrets, as simple as an elephant's fear of a tiny bee, could hold the keys to solving some of our world's biggest challenges?